Last Saturday, we left the pack at Bordeaux, and ahead of them in the second week, the Pyrenees and the Massif Central, where the kings of the mountains would come into their own as they travelled towards Grenoble and the Alps. Phil Liggett now picks up the story.
You know, even when you're here, it's hard to imagine how hard the Tour de France really is. And this second week has been one of the hottest I can remember in the 12 years I've seen the race. The stars have been here too. Dustin Hoffman came along for 2 days because he's come to research the event for next year when he's making a film concerning the Tour itself. He witnessed one of the days, one of its dramatous days of the Tour de France, which was on the road to Bordeaux. And sadly, that was where Christian Jourdain collapsed in tears because he'd been involved in a crash with his teammate Stephen Roche and he was unable to finish. Then came Monday, and that was the day in the Pyrenees, the only day, in fact, between Pau and Guzet-Neige. And it was there that Dustin Hoffman said when it finished, it was the shortest 5 hours of my life. He enjoyed it that much. And now we can take a look at that stage, and it's the stage when Robert Millar promised he would do something. And as we join the action, he's in the lead with 3 other riders.
And so that big mountain ahead of them will lift these 4 riders up to the ski station of Guzet-Neige. And in this leading group, on the 11th day of the Tour de France, none other than Robert Millar, the boy from Scotland, who said he was going to do in the Pyrenees this year what he did in the Pyrenees just a year ago. Millar on the front in the white, and with him in this breakaway group at the back here in wearing 3 is Lucien Didier from Luxembourg. Jean-René Bernadeau wears 41. There he is on the far right. Millar wears 68, and the other rider in this group, Gerard Belchulten from the Panasonic Rally team. And Belchulten, the best placed of these 4 riders as they come towards the last 8 miles of the day. A long, hot day in the Pyrenees with the temperatures soaring once again up in towards 90 plus degrees. It'll be the toast of the Peugeot Cycles team tonight. They've wanted something. They've had a poor tour so far after a good beginning for them by Alan Piper, who finished 3rd twice on the opening days of this race. They've done nothing since. Millar has unleashed all his anger today on the Tour de France. He's tamed the giants of the Pyrenees. And now under the kilometre kite goes Herrera. That's how close it is. Something like 300 metres behind Millar. That'll do nicely, thank you. Millar's going to get this stage. And does he deserve it? He was in a group of 8 riders when they came over the Col de la Cour. And one by one, Millar's seen them out the back door. And they've all been caught by 2 other heroes today, Herrera of Colombia and Delgado of Spain. And that should well be the 3 that come over first, although message is coming up now to us that Laurent Fignon has counter-attacked and is 4th off the road. So, what a battle this has been. This is the Tour de France. The most open race for years. There has been no one dominant. Jan Ross, you remember the rider who won the longest stage of 211 miles into Bordeaux on Saturday? He gave up today. He's already on his way home to Holland. The applause for Robert Millar now. And look over his shoulder. He'll see nobody but the motorcycles. Our cameraman, who sat with him now religiously for the last kilometre up the climb. We'll see behind. We'll see Felix Leviton, the man who's over 70 years of age, who's organised this Tour de France for over 50 years. He's seen some heroics, but he'll agree that he's seeing one today in the mode of Scotland's Robert Millar. Millar's face grimaces. Leviton watches his little red hat. The organiser of this great event watches the white jersey of Millar, and Leviton himself is not afraid to go alongside and just say, Allez Robert, because he likes winners. He likes riders to come home first and do it on their own, and that's what Millar's doing here. Now the plaques which say just yards to go to the line. Millar can prepare himself now for the salute. The 2 arms are all we want to see now, and there they are. Millar's won the stage in the Tour de France. The tears, the grimaces become smiles and tears of joy.
Robert, tremendous ride in the Pyrenees. The French are now saying that is the reserve terrain of Robert Millar after 2 victories in the Pyrenees in 2 years. What inspires you up there?
I can't really tell. I was really motivated for that day since I'd won the year before, and I really gave it my all that day.
Well, tell me about the fabulous chase by Herrera, because that must have worried you over those last couple of miles.
Yeah, we were informed in front that Herrera was coming up from behind really fast, so I decided to attack 4 kilometres from the top of the hill, and luckily enough he didn't catch me.
What was in your mind that last kilometre where you were still climbing?
That I was going to win, that I knew I was going to win, and I was really happy.
When did you know in the stage that you could win?
After we climbed the Porte d'Aspet, I was really strong up there. I led all the way in the pack, and no one came beside me to make the pace, so I felt really strong, and I knew I was going to win that day.
But there was one moment, I think it was about 6 kilometres from the finish, where you appeared to sit behind Bernardo, and I was thinking there you may be cracking.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bit tired, and I wanted to have a rest before I attacked, because I thought I would have to attack 4 or 5 kilometres from the finish. So I let him do a bit of the work, and then I recovered a little bit and I attacked when I wanted.
Phil Anderson, you've worn the yellow jersey in 2 Tours de France, and you're now in the top 6 overall, so it's obviously going well.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the way it's going so far. Last year I wasn't going as well as I am now. After the Pyrenees last year I was sitting, I was in the top 20 but not in the top 10, and so this year I feel more confident to finish better than I did last year.
Would you say you're riding a more clever tour now? You really are looking for the final victory rather than just wearing that jersey, is that right?
Yeah. I'm looking for finishing on the podium in Paris. Wearing the yellow jersey is it's very prestigious and it's very nice to have, but I've done it before, and now I'm looking for something a little better than this to finish higher on GC.
So on Tuesday the race came out of the Pyrenees, and at Saint-Giron the riders went on to Blagnac, and that's near Toulouse. And it was there where Renault scored their 5th victory of the race when Pascal Poisson took the stage. The next morning, the race went from Blagnac on to Rodez in the heat of the Massif Central. And this really was where the riders called a truce. All the favourites stayed together, and 3 little riders in this Tour de France broke clear. The stage went to Renault again. This time, Pierre-Henri Mentieux was the winner. Thursday was another scorching day between Rodez and Châteauroux. The race left the Massif Central and moved into the beautiful area surrounding the chateau itself, and this is situated in the middle of the Ardèche in the south of France. It was a dangerous day, and Sean Kelly crashed with 10 others, cutting his head, but still finishing 12th. Robert Millar was always in the action, taking points on the hills, and he kept his 2nd place in the King of the Mountains. The stage itself went to Belgian's Fons de Wolf, who came in over 17 minutes ahead, and he climbed to 4th place overall. And so to Friday, the day that many riders were feeling most, especially the 22-years-old leader, Vincent Barteau, who has now led the race for 10 days. The Alps are big, they're high, and they hold many secrets to this Tour de France. So it was the day when decisions would be made. We can join the action now as the riders race down towards Grenoble and see just what happened.
Well, there is Michel Laurent now in company with Phil Anderson on the front. And it's Vichot, number 60, who's come up. Vichot had a very good day in the mountains yesterday, a long breakaway with Alain Bondieu, but they were caught. And now he's back in the action again. But it's a very interesting move, this, by Phil Anderson, because this is a rider who thinks he can win the Tour de France, and the leaders have been unable to stop his attack on the descent into Grenoble. The main field take this hairpin bend. So just 3 riders out in front now, and it sounds to me as though Phil Anderson has punctured on the descent. And there he is, Phil Anderson has punctured on the descent. Well, that is enormous bad luck. The whole field has gone by him. Phil Anderson was in the lead 1 minute, he's at the back now. What bad luck that was. He's punctured a matter of kilometres from the finish in Grenoble, leaving 2 men in the lead, and Phil Anderson is not only at the back now, but he's losing time to the leaders. So, the puncture of Phil Anderson, then Michel Laurent has been dropped, And Vichot is trying to win alone in Grenoble. All the mountains are over now. It's a flat road to the finish. No circuits when he gets there, straight into the line. Frederick Vichot, a teammate of Sean Kelly. This is Phil Anderson still trying at the back of the race to rejoin all the favourites in that big group. He's doing very, very well indeed. He's in the convoy of cars there, so he should get back. And so a last look over his right shoulder. Very shortly now, the end of another 7 hours in the saddle for the Tour de France, and especially for Frederick Vichot. And there's the chasers right behind him, but he's no need to worry. I think Michel Laurent might just have held off the main field. Vichot comes up to the finish. One final glance. That's a professional, making sure nobody's creeping up. And so Vichot takes the stage.